Hi guys, welcome to Jane Talks. I'm all bundled up here. I'm kind of cold. It's rainy and kind of damp, a little bit windy, and it was a fairly nice weekend. I got a really bad sunburn on Saturday, I think it was. I was relaxing and sitting in the sun and having a few beverages, and I guess I just didn't realize how long I was out there. So my chest and shoulders are kind of all burnt, and I'm sure that doesn't help my level of coldness. I think that probably makes me feel colder than it really is. In any case, I finished, I think last week I talked about the book that I was reading. I think it's called Fierce Women, and it talks about a soft warrior. And I finished it this morning, and honestly, I really enjoyed the first part of it, but the end of the book, it kind of seemed to focus on more of a biblical, I guess more of a biblical focus on women and same-sex relationships and being submissive. The author felt that as a young bride and throughout her marriage, she didn't understand the biblical significance of submission. It says in the Bible about wives being submissive to their husbands because they're the head of the house, just as Christ is the head of the church. And I feel like I don't agree with her assessment of some of those things, I guess. And it's not that I don't agree with what she feels is right and wrong necessarily. I guess what seemed really to stick out in my mind is that, I think when we feel passionate about something, we can find anything to support that, to support our thinking. We can find biblical verses. We can pick them apart and pick little pieces here and there out to support our thoughts. And I feel like it just seems so clear to me that it totally matters. It's significant how you were raised and what you were taught as to how you look at things. And that's not a bad thing, but sometimes it's not really a good thing either. There was a lot of focus in the latter part of the book on being quietly submissive. And she stated a few times how, that doesn't mean that you accept abuse, but there was that was very brief. And I feel like with my experience, I kind of object to that, because what do you do with that then? If you are in a relationship, in an abusive relationship, whether it be physical, emotional, sexual, financial, whatever, abuse is abuse. And it is totally true that emotional and verbal abuse, emotional abuse, all of those, they cause just as much damage as physical abuse. The scars that physical abuse leave with emotional abuse, it is on the inside of you. You don't necessarily see the scars, but you sure as heck feel them. And I guess there was one part that I felt like really connected with me. She mentioned about the church should be a place where, if there is abuse in a relationship, the church should be a place where the abusee feels safe. And I wish there would have been more focus on that in this way. I think that some of those things that happen, abuse, homosexuality, things like that she was mentioning and focused on, I think those things are not freely talked about, especially in a church environment and in a lot of other environments too. I don't mean to sound as if I'm just picking on a church. I'm not. But I feel like, and I'm going to talk about the abuse part because that's the only one that I'm familiar with. So I feel like because it is such maybe a dark and an uncertain area, that there are no real clear answers to, I feel like it's hard to talk freely about it. And so people just tend to shy away from it. And I understand that. But on the flip side of that coin, I feel like maybe it'd be a good idea for some of the church elders or somebody to familiarize themselves with dealing with those kind of things, because they really affect a lot. And they can change a person so completely without the person even realizing. Because when you're in that kind of a situation, you are not you're not in a normal spot. You're not in a normal relationship. You yourself are not on sure ground. And you don't know where you're going or what you're thinking, or all you're trying to do is survive. You're just trying to survive. And I know I've said it before, but it's like being in robot mode. You know what to do, you know how to live, and you know there is no other option except to just keep going. So you put one foot in front of the other and you just keep going. It's not an option to not get through it. You have to. And I think that it makes me really sad that for how open so many topics are, that one still isn't as open. And it makes me really sad, because I feel like there's a lot that happens that wouldn't have to happen if people would take it seriously. I remember someone commenting in regards to me if it was real or if I was just being an emotional person, and that made me angry. First, because you know me, and if you don't, well, you should. I don't complain, I don't fuss. There's a problem and it needs to be fixed. Don't automatically assume that I'm just being an emotional woman. That's not the case. Anyway, it is what it is. I guess we all deal with things how we deal with things, and our experiences are all our own. We can't force somebody else to understand where we're coming from because they haven't been there, so they don't know. And in any case, life happens, I guess. But I was really disappointed in the curve that the book took, because I feel like I was so looking forward to more, I guess, thoughts or counsel on being a soft warrior and what that meant in the general scheme of things, not specific to certain issues, because I think there's a lot of us women that have lost ourselves over the years, and we just want ourselves back, and it's really hard to dig through and peel away all the layers to figure that out. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but have a great week, and hopefully you've all had a wonderful first long weekend in May of the summer, and we'll see you next week.